Yeah, I kept waiting. I knew NC State was going to drop at least one. I don't know that they're going to drop another one. They've dropped that one they shouldn't have dropped that we talked about. But
Yeah.
it's not out of the realm of possibility, but I don't think it's very realistic. And listening to them coaches talk today, they don't think it's very realistic either. They talking about playing with pride, playing for pride the rest of the season, playing for each other, and since they took their second loss in the conference. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely not. We're talking about ACC football. I mean, it would not shock me in any way to see Wake Forest end up with 3 losses, North Carolina State end up with a couple of losses. But, I mean, that would mean Clemson's got to win out. And I'm not sure they're capable of doing that at this point.
I tell you, I'm working on ACC power rankings right now, and you put Duke at the bottom. Pitt's earned the top spot. And even with losing over the weekend, NC State's probably the 2 seed, unless you want to go strictly by record. Then, of course, Wake's the number 1 team in terms of record. But you could put a blanket over all those teams. That wouldn't surprise me. Boston College is 0-3 right now in the conference. So they got to be ranked near the bottom of the conference. If they played Pitt tomorrow, I wouldn't be shocked if any of those teams could beat anybody.
That's kind of what I was getting at. Nothing would surprise me this year in this conference. That's for sure. I mean, nothing is happening the way any of us envisioned. There is no doubt about that.
Will Shipley, of course, started the game. You mentioned the 2 gaffes, the one tripping over the yard line when he was breaking into the clear, and then the big drop. 10 carries, 52 yards. Your guy, Phil Moffa, had 3 carries. They gave it to him down near the goal line. He pushed it across for a touchdown. Kobe Pace had 7 carries. Is this pretty much what the running back room's going to be? Do you think are they that much higher on Shipley being the starter? Not that they gave him the ball 25 times, but still he was the starter.
Yeah, he was the starter before he got injured too. I think Pace actually ran out there first, but it was definitely Shipley who was on the field for more plays by far. It wasn't even close. Yeah, I think Shipley just came in a little bit ahead of Moffa. Moffa got hurt late last season in his high school season. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but I don't know if they brought him along a little slower in the spring or what. But I think Shipley was just, for whatever reason, a little bit ahead of Moffa. And the plan originally was to redshirt Moffa. They wanted to create a year separation between those 2 guys, and that was something that I love that idea. Obviously they can't do it now after Lynn J. Dixon transfers out and Michael Dukes transfers out. Those 3 guys, that's what you got. I think that's a pretty solid running back room. Clemson ran the ball fairly well the other day, averaged like 5.5 yards per carry. I thought they started to get away from the run, probably faster than they should have. It's what they do best. I'd like to see them stick with it more. And, for a team that's still struggling to find an offensive identity, right now, that's what you're doing best, and it's not even close. I would be feeding those backs, just feeding them over and over and over and over. And after Backhorst got hurt the other day, I don't know if that's coincidence or if that factored into it, but they kind of went away from it and started trying to throw it a little bit more. Then they got down 2 scores and really went to the passing game.
Folks, we appreciate you being here. Hit the like button and share the videos out on social media. You can catch Jason's work at allclemson.com on SI. So, yeah, this game looked like one of the easier ones of the season going into it. Florida State's been awful, but they're starting to show a little bit of life. They've won 3 consecutive games. Big deal UMass, but they at least did to UMass what you should do to UMass if you're Florida State, 59-3. And before that, they beat a team, Syracuse, who's showing us that they're not bad. And they got a win against North Carolina by 10 points. So this is actually going to be a better game than anybody thought possible.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I really don't know what to make of this game. 2 weeks ago, I would have said, even with Clemson playing the way they are right now, I'd have said Clemson's going to win that game. But I can't say that right now. I mean, that was one of the first things I said after the Pitt game. I don't know that Clemson's going to beat Florida State at home, and it's been a long time since Clemson's lost at home. They got I think it might be the nation's longest winning streak, home winning streak. But it's been a long time since they lost a home game. But it's hard to know what to expect right now from this offense. They got so many injuries, and they're playing musical chairs on the offensive line. Sounds like Mason Trotter's going to get to start his 3rd consecutive start at center. Rayburn got COVID. after his first start, Trotter was inserted. Rayburn's not expected out of protocol till today or tomorrow, so he might not get back to practice till Wednesday. Tony Elliott made it sound like this morning that Trotter's probably going to be the guy. He wouldn't say for sure, but he said he thought that was going to be the case. So at least you got, I think that's the first time all season since the first 3 games that they've had the same starter at center for 3 games in a row. But with Bockhorst hurt, you got to go back to Marcus Tate, a true freshman who's played much better in his last 2 games, but he's not been starting. He's been coming in a reserve role as opposed to the first 2 games when he was starting. He was really struggling, but he has looked better. I think he's been playing about 40 snaps a game the last 2 weeks. But they're going to have to need him to step up now, him and Paultillo. They're going to need both those guys to step up and play well, because it's been like a game of musical chairs along that offensive line. And another thing about this Florida State game, though, that's intriguing is this is the game that was canceled last year, 2 hours before kickoff, right before, after Clemson had traveled to Tallahassee. I think it cost them $300,000 to go down there and not play. And Dabo Swinney was hot about that thing, and he made no bones about it. He talked about it until the middle of the week. He was not happy. I think this has been a game that's been circled on his calendar. I like to call it scorched earth Dabo, or some people call it spiteful Dabo. There's that handful of teams out there that he'll stick it in, if he gets the opportunity. And I think that Florida State was put on that list last year. But I don't know that this team's capable of doing it anymore.
Sure doesn't appear to be. I think their defense is obviously going to keep them in the game, and Florida State's not that good. They should win this game. But, again, it's not a certainty as it was a few weeks ago.